Bite-Sized and Bossy, rising up the ranks, handing out encouragement, deposits in their banks. Inspiration coming at you like a river flowing. Women paving paths, look at them going. Bite-Sized and Bossy, rising up the ranks, handing out encouragement, deposits in their banks. Inspiration coming.
Welcome. So we're super excited today to have Shannon here with us. And I'm Erin.
I'm Tammy.
And I'm Chrissy.
And this is
Byte-Sized and Bossy.
So close. I think that's the best time we've done it.
I think that was fast.
Well, Tammy or Chrissy, tell us about our guest.
Well, I'll take it off. I'll take this one. So we've got Shannon Hennessy joining us from the Habit Burger Grill. She is the CEO, and I had the good fortune of meeting her this past year. And so we asked Shannon to join us today on our podcast. So welcome, Shannon.
Yay.
Yay, welcome, Shannon.
And look at her office. It's so nice and organized. I need to clean up. Like your office is so organized. It's the perfect space.
Confession, I threw away a whole bunch of dirty papers about 3 hours ago.
Did you just do the whole clean thing? Like you threw your arm across the desk and everything went flying?
It was very cathartic, honestly. Don't look at the trash can, though.
It is cathartic.
Oh, goodness.
It's all going to be just fine. Well, Shannon, thanks for joining us today. I had the good fortune recently of being at an event where Greg Creed spoke, the former CEO of Yum Brands, and he shared some really cool stuff about Yum and their culture and how important that culture is in terms of like metrics that you guys even have like a score that you get that impacts your bonuses. That's crazy. I thought it was super cool. And since, we're all about culture and our place in that culture, I would love to hear you talk a little bit more and share what you can about the Yum culture.
Yeah, the Yum culture is actually a lot of the reason I joined in the first place. So I always say that I'm motivated by people and problems. And it was actually kind of walking in and talking to the Yum executive team. And I joined KFC before I joined The Habit, where I kind of fell in love with how they thought about people and culture. And that's ultimately why I'm here. And Greg, he is the godfather, the architect of a lot of what makes Yum culture so magical. So there's this framework we use. We call it Smart, Heart, and Courage. And that's how we think about what really good leaders look like. Not only are they really intelligent and skilled at what they do, but they bring a lot of heart to leading the business and they're courageous in making decisions. So that score that you heard Greg talking about, we actually just went through our end of year calibrations talking about our talent. And we do have kind of two ways we assess them. We assess from a performance standpoint, so more of the smart and how you're driving the business, how did things go, and we give this kind of, we call it an individual factor that represents that. And then we also assign each person a culture score, and there's options like leading on culture, living culture, learning culture, and lacking, right? Which thankfully doesn't happen too often, but sometimes it does, right? And that could be the reason why somebody doesn't ultimately work out in the role that they're in. So all that gets factored together. If you think about how we reward someone for what they get done in a given year, but also what kind of potential they have to take on even bigger roles in the system.
So what would be a good example of like, I see leading, living, learning, and lacking. I love that. But what would be a good example of like living the culture?
So living means you're showing up and you're, as you engage with folks to get things done, people in general are finding you to be pleasant to work with, right? You are showing up with smart heart and courage. Leading means you're actually shaping the culture for the better. And that's sort of the sort of expectations we have of our leaders is you're not just kind of continuing to amplify and live what we already have, but you're finding ways to make it even better. So some of the folks looking back on the last year that we're leading in our habit culture are people who were piloting new employee resource groups, right? And figuring out how to bring diverse perspectives to the table, or driving like really tricky change and making hard and controversial calls, but doing it in a way where the team actually felt better about it on the other side. So a lot of my operators in the last year navigating through a tricky environment with $20 minimum wage earned a leading metric because their restaurants are performing even better after a set of hard changes than they were before. And that speaks to how they show up and they lead their teams.
That's awesome.
I
Quick-
love that you start with pleasant. Are you just pleasant to work with? Step one. Step one. Do you not suck as a human? Is like level one. And that's lovely because I think everyone should have something like that.
We get a
Chrissy,
lot
you
more
were
done together than we do individually, right? Sorry,
Yeah.
David, go ahead.
Does that follow? Does the culture, does it fall all the way down to, I know you said your operators, GMs, front of house, back of house, people who work the drive-through? Is that the it goes all the way down, and you guys are giving every single employee a culture score?
So for Habit, we're newer to the Yum family. We joined almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years next year in the Yum family. So some of those things we've kind of phased through how we've been working them in. So this is the first year that we've given culture ratings to our above restaurant operators with the vision of eventually getting them all the way to the front line. But one step at a time. You don't want to surprise people where suddenly you're assessing them on something they weren't expecting.
That's awesome.
Well, I have another fun thing that I'd like to call out for Ms. Shannon. You have a very heavy female executive team. So talk to us about some of the gals that are on your leadership team.
I love my leadership team, men and women, but yes, we are 50% women, which I think is so exciting. So my chief financial officer, Tiffany Furman, joined us from Taco Bell just a couple of months after I started. And I oftentimes say, if you just tried to envision the right person for the job, I'd love to have somebody who not only understands financials, but development and franchising. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm inventing a purple unicorn. No, I was actually just thinking about Tiffany. She's had such a beautiful career that's tailor-made for wearing many different hats as we do at The Habit. She's super, super sharp and never says no. No matter what you bring to her, she finds a way to make it work. She's fantastic. And then we also have my chief operating officer, who had previously been our marketing officer as well, Ivana Alter. She is one of the longer tenured of my executive team with The Habit. So she predates me. She's been here about 6 years. Incredible leader, really fantastic at kind of putting her sights on something and engineering change to be able to deliver. And so, together with me, we've got 3 women and we've got 3 men on the executive team here at Habit. So I think it's a really nice blend of experience.
It is. It's a nice blend. And I also noticed that your leadership team seems to, within the Yum family, you've got Tiffany from Taco Bell, and you've got Ivana, who moved from marketing to ops, which we just heard that with another executive. Yes. So that's, to me, is super interesting that they sort of move around within the Yum family.
Yeah, I think talent is a huge piece of what makes Yum what it is. It goes back to the culture you were asking about earlier, but also having had a background in professional services. I mean, I worked at McKinsey, right? They're known for having incredible talent. And I have been nothing but so impressed with the talent in the Yum system. And I think that speaks to the kind of people they bring in and moving them around and stretching them quite a bit. I myself am a bit of an example of that, right? Coming in a fairly senior role, being a CFO at KFC, and then moving over to take over at Habit as the CEO. So the talent here is really strong.
That's awesome. Shannon, one thing that I noticed in your background is that you were an analyst for Gap. And so I wanted to just touch on that. Obviously, Gap is a big brand. Gap, Banana Republic, Old
She
Navy.
just likes the jeans.
Oh, I mean, jeans are
them to work there with the employee discount. Again, things you should probably not say out loud. Probably true.
So tell us about the hop from retail, obviously, over into the restaurant space.
Yeah, I had done a number of different retail things, including the stint at the Gap that you referenced. I was a consultant for many moons, and I worked with all different kinds of retailers, big box, pets, sporting goods. I love retail, right? And I think if I kind of think about why I loved it so much, it is because at its crux, it's a people business, right? It's people at the end of the day delivering something to guests. And restaurants is a form of that for sure. It's a very happy sector to be a part of. People come and bring their kids for their birthdays, right? And bring for celebrations. And so that piece is, quite fun and happy to be a part of. And then I've just always liked thinking about driving change in a big frontline culture. You can dream up all these things here in the office, but the truth is what really differentiates companies is to what degree they can make sure that shows up in the thousands of customer interactions you have going on at any given point. So I think it may sound very different, jeans and burgers, but they're more similar than you might guess.
Shockingly similar.
I was saying, if you have too many of one, you can't fit into the other.
I was going to say the same
I
thing.
wish my jeans fit like they
New
used to.
salads too, grilled chicken salads.
So
Wait, I just need to know. Hold on just a second. That big orange thing back in the corner, is that like a stuffed chicken sandwich?
That's the KFC U.S. chicken sandwich, which was launched
What?
while I was still
What?
over on the KFC side. And it's like a big poof, that you put on, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you're looking for a real test of like agility in trying to get up again.
Well, that's a good way to do some core work, right?
Yeah, I
On
love
a
that for you.
chicken sandwich and see if you can hold yourself up.
That's great. I love that. I think I want one of those.
So you've worked in really big corporations and you've worked in smaller pods within larger organizations. Like, tell us more about where you find your energy, right? Like, so is it being in the big companies? Is it the smaller companies? What gets you going?
I always like to say it's people and problems, which I think you can find just about anywhere. Like I am a nerd to the core. The team would tell you that if you talk to anyone who works for me. Tammy's been in meetings with me when data has been presented. Right?
We all like a good nerd.
Her nerdiness is actually how we met. And if I can tell the story, so I sent Shannon a cold email. That sales thing that we have to do, which I hate.
Gross.
I sent her a cold email and she replied.
What? Wait, hold on. What made you reply to Tammy's cold email?
Yeah, I'm very curious.
It doesn't even matter what it's about. But what I want to know, and I genuinely want to know this, is because as a CEO, you must get bombarded with crap from salespeople. I get bombarded for crap from salespeople, and I'm a salesperson. So how do you cut through the noise for, I think you were pretty happy with what we engaged in. And how do you cut through the noise and decide you're going to pay attention to this one or that one?
I delete 90% of them, I would say, Tammy, and some of them I don't even read, to your point. So I honestly can't remember what you had in the first line, but if I had to guess, it probably had something to do with the habit, right? Because like people who legitimately have taken the time to go to one of my restaurants, right, to make that where I can tell it's not an AI completely 100%.
They
AI
invested into
form.
it.
I'm starting to read now. And I mean, you hit me at a good time, right? What you were pitching was exactly what I was curious to know more about, which was a new approach to how we price. And then I sent that on to like the very smart person on my team. Let's be clear. So I really think
She's
that was-
awesome.
And then she talked to Tammy and the team and said, "Oh, I actually think this is, something worth us considering." And, fast forward to the first meeting where I was like totally in love with the amazing work, right? It literally was, I'm so glad I took the time to read that email, honestly.
That's so awesome.
To Tammy's point, how do you catch the attention? So like someone takes the time to learn about you or your product is what you're saying catches your attention.
Yes, I think that's really what it is if of all the ones I get, if I get, hey, I just was in your blah, 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 fill in the blank restaurant and I ate this, or I'm a huge fan and I, got introduced to the brand 30 years ago. I read that and that's authentic to someone's experience that feels personalized. And they took the time to do that. So that'll give me a bit of I take the time. It still doesn't, it still has to be something I'd be interested in. But that does break through the noise to me. In a world where it's all technology, if it's personal, I'm just
My favorite is, you must not have got my prior 5 emails.
Yes.
You just want to
Like
write,
it's
no,
not
go
my
away.
management problem that I missed. Yes.
Or like the takeaway. This is going to be my last email to you unless I get a response. I'm like,
my favorite
okay.
You must not have seen my email, or your cat got hit by a car, or and like some other weird thing happened, and you're like, now I feel like I have to respond. Why did you send me 3 like multiple choice questions on why you think I didn't, or like, you're just a bad person? And I'm like, I've gotten some of these emails as a brand marketer and it kind of hurts. You're like, oh, and then they think, oh, I won. She responded. And like, I'm feeding into it. It's a problem.
Well,
Well, here's the other thing we're not talking about is now half the time I think they're phishing simulations.
yes.
Yes.
Oh, true story. Yeah.
Yeah, I got an email from for an RFP, right? So a request for proposal. So I got an email for an RFP from a CEO of a restaurant brand, and I happen to know somebody at the restaurant brand. And so I forwarded it to them and I said, is this legit? Because it was a PDF, it was an RFP, the CEO's email, the name, and they wrote me back and said, no, thank you. And immediately I got
Oh
a
my.
Wow. And
Because-
you would have sent all this information for your
I
company.
would have
That's
clicked
crazy.
on it and they would have whatever. So, but it looked very real.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't about me, but I got another one for you, Shannon. You guys won Best Burger.
Wow.
Yay.
And so
Wow.
I want you to tell everybody what it is, how it won. And then I want you to tell everybody some of the trolling that y'all did.
Oh.
Yay, one of my
Ooh.
stories of 2024. I love it. Yes,
Mhm.
we won, voted by the people, by USA Today. We won Best Quick Service Burger back this summer, which was huge because actually one of the original kind of accelerators of Habit's growth was winning Best Burger from Consumer Reports about 15 years ago. And when that happened, that was really what put Habit on the map. So not only was it super cool to win this award, it kind of like, I don't know, made us feel like, you know, we had our mojo from what we had about 15 years back. And we won not only Best Burger, we won Best Quick Service Side with our tempura green beans. And just a couple months earlier, we had won Best Grilled Chicken Sandwich from the Daily Meal as well. So I call it the Triple Crown. So we had all this award-winning food, which
Well, now I'm hungry.
Yes, I know. Those tempura fried green beans. I'm
If
gonna
only
be.
we had Habit Burger like sitting and we could be eating it while we talk.
Oh,
to
that would
Shannon
be
about this.
fun.
The
I
tempura
could've-
green beans, like
I
I go for that.
happened. Yes, I should have done that beforehand. You could have been eating while we were talking.
You're gonna like, just ship it to us. We got it. We got it.
Yes.
We're ready.
But I have a Habit really close to me. Really close. A brand new store in Easley, South
Well,
Carolina.
then no excuse for you not
okay.
having it right now.
Yes. Yes.
Well, please do go. Yeah, go
Yeah.
support if you
I
haven't.
will.
Food is amazing, as we were just talking about.
Yep.
And what was cool for us watching that Best Burger Award as well is we watched the headlines that we got right after the win.
Yeah.
And what was interesting to the press about it was not just that we won, it was that we beat In-N-Out. The underdog victory, the better known California chain, they actually came in second. Five Guys for five, by the way, which I just can't stop laughing about. That was
Birch.
anyway, so we ended up taking out these billboards. It is really hard, by the way, to buy like specific billboards. I learned that as we went through it. But we took out these billboards right by In-N-Out's that said, "Congrats on number 2. Your food is number 1." The Habit Burger. And you can see it from the drive-thru. You can see it from their restaurant.
Oh my.
So much fun. Honestly, we had all kinds of debates before we launched it because that's pretty edgy and cheeky thing to do. But we felt like it was in good spirit to congratulate them. We're in good company around the burgers. And boy, it went viral in like the best possible way. It was
That's
Great, though.
amazing.
And it is hard. Like when you go through like Clear Channel or Talon or any of the outdoor companies, they give you a picture and they go, oh, the billboard is facing this way on this route going west. And you're like, I don't know which way west is, but that's fine. And it's 44,000 people that may or may not see this today. And you're trying to figure it out and station yourself. And you're like, it is difficult to buy those boards.
Yes, and get them timed all at one moment to hit.
Yeah.
To make the magic
Digital
happen.
versus print it is very challenging.
So did you have a bunch of haters is the question.
So we got fans from both sides coming out in response. I mean, they were blowing up our social like it was no one's business. So you had
hit a nerve.
diehard In-N-Out fans, right? One of my funniest comments was someone who had never heard of us that believed that the whole universe was a simulation. That we
Same
That was
girl,
really
same.
irritating. We saw our cult come coming out as well, like really defending, right, the fact that we should be the title holder. And I mean, it's burgers, guys. There's so much in America to argue about. Let's just agree they're all good and have a good time. So we ended up hosting a squash the beef party a couple weeks ago where we invited In-N-Out fans to come to our restaurant dressed in their In-N-Out regalia, and we gave them the #1 burger, you know, as a thank you.
I love that.
Fun.
That's amazing.
That's
What
like
a way to like
par with
build
your
on
making
the hype.
cookies.
You built on a viral, like a campaign, and you built like it truly is marketing, right? So you said, hey, this is something that could have legs, but we let the fans talk about it. Or the haters for that matter. And that's what makes really great marketing, is when you get people talking.
You know, I was in a meeting earlier this morning where we're thinking about how we market, because we have a pretty well-developed brand in California and a pretty unknown brand outside, and thinking about how we really leverage the modern set of marketing tools to be able to build that brand. Because to your point, I mean, I have a 12 and 14-year-old. I see how they get information. It is totally different from the way I would have consumed information and learned about brands and that sort of thing. So you have to be able to show up really strongly in every store that you have out there, because there are people out there making videos, right? Sharing their opinions at all times. And I think that's a little scary sometimes, but also a huge opportunity.
You just hit on a great thing, which is you have a 12 and 14-year-old. I have a 13 and 14-year-old and a 9-year-old. And you're right, they consume media. So what are you seeing them consume? And how do you handle it? And then, I mean, how do you handle the blend of like 12 and 14 take a lot of time? There's a lot of drama happening in a 12 and 14-year-old life. And I know because I live it every day. I feel like I'm involved in it. So like, how do you manage that blend? And then what are they talking about?
My 12 and 14-year-old. Wow. I mean, but there's even a difference between the two of them, which is fascinating. My 14-year-old will still like go read things. My 12-year-old will not read a damn thing. If it's not in a video, like packaged up for her entertainment, even if she's doing a school project, she's out there finding videos that were created by someone about Ruth Bader Ginsburg or whatever she's researching. It's unreal to watch. So, I mean, a lot of the conversation in our house is about like, is it a reputable source? What do you believe versus what you heard? How do you think about what's a fact versus an opinion? Because I feel like that's the world they're going to be in. And we just have to be able to prepare them to be able to deal with that world. You know, even AI policies on homework, I find fascinating, because some schools say, no AI, like you need to learn it. And I feel like that's a really limiting view of what the world's going to look like when they're out. They're going to be using AI as a bicycle for their brain. They need to learn how to use it, actually, right? And
I had to use a calculator.
Typewriters. You remember having to put that little thing in the typewriter to like,
don't you remember
the correction?
They literally made me put my calculator away, and they were like, you won't have this in the real world. And I was like, I have more than that now.
Yeah, that's so funny.
But yeah, 12 and 14, that's challenging. So they're ingesting data from everywhere, and you're helping them understand what's allowed, not allowed.
I feel like a lot of the battle as a parent is just getting them to talk to you right at that age of 12 and 14, like to actually view you as someone they can come and ask questions to.
I text them.
Yeah, or text. That's very true. I get more talking from my 12-year-old, but to your point, sometimes that's 98% drama and 2% like information. And my 14-year-old, you kind of just have to spend enough time with him until the iceberg will thaw, and then, you know.
How do you do that though? Like, so I have a 17-year-old, and she's as this senior year has progressed a little bit. I felt like last year she would come in the house, straight up the steps, door shut, out for food, back in, out to go somewhere, and then back. Like she would like sleep here, right? Like that's it. Fly in, fly out. And I'm like, oh, who's this person that's just walking by? But are you guys to that stage yet where lots of time in the room, not a lot of time in social spaces at our home?
We do have an element of that, but mine still can't drive themselves. So I feel like that's my role, you know, that I can, as long as I'm useful to get them from point A to point B, eventually, you know, they start chit-chatting with you in that sort of setting. So I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do when that little advantage I have evaporates.
You'll have a glass of wine and be very happy.
But then you get sad. It was so quiet in my house this weekend. No, I promise you will. It was so quiet in my house this weekend. Isabel was busy, and it was just my husband and I. And so we like our alone time and to be able to go out. But this weekend was just like eerily quiet, and like all my big kids were gone and nobody had time for us. And I was actually a little sad.
I don't understand. I'm still at the like, did you put on deodorant this morning phase? So
I'm not sure that ever ends, does it?
Are you talking about me or the kids?
I actually didn't. So
check.
Thanks for checking.
No, but it is. What you did call out was like, so your time is spent focused on raising these sound like wonderful children. And it sounds like you're an amazing mom. You're the CEO of this company as well. And like, that's a lot on your plate. So how do you manage that?
I mean, first of all, I have an incredible partner. Huge, right? He put his career on the back seat in order to let mine be the one that shines. And that's a gift that I do not take for granted, that he's so able to support our family in that way, which is huge. But honestly, I feel like with my kids, I hate the word balance actually, because that sounds far neater than what my life actually looks like. Like if you look at it, my life is this blend, right? It's not like work and then home. I mean, tomorrow I literally have in my calendar, because my husband has a doctor's appointment. Like I'm picking up my daughter and taking her to this. And, you know, I certainly work more than I need to in any given week, but sometimes I just shift it around and make those things happen. And there's definitely weeks I have where my kids are like, Mom, I really wish you could come to this. Like it's not perfect all the time, but I do feel like I have a clear view of what's most key for them. And I try just to show up in those moments that are most key. And sometimes that's surprising them for a weekday basketball game, like it was last week with my daughter. And sometimes it's the bigger things. Like I flew back last Friday. I left a meeting early that had all the Yum leadership in it to make her holiday show, because I knew that would matter. A year ago, flew in the middle of the night, right, to be back for her birthday. Like you do these things. It's not pretty sometimes, but you do them because they matter. And even if you might be a little strung out and exhausted, like, you know, you were there in the moments that really counted. And I also discovered about myself early on, I'm a better working mom. I'm happier. I show much more energy for my kids when I feel fulfilled work-wise. So when I hear moms talk about mom guilt, I don't know. I feel like mom guilt is actually a sign that you're not making the choices that you want to make. And so while I let it get out of, every once in a while it gets crazy and then I get it back in, I feel like if I'm managing that, then I'm actually better at work and better at home.
That's amazing. I love that, because I know for a fact I've suffered from mom guilt a little bit, and maybe that's because I wasn't making like great decisions or whatever. But I love that you say I am a better working mom. I think that is really, really important for like all of our mom listeners out there. Like if your work fulfills you, it's okay. It's okay to pick and choose and show up for the things that are important. Right? I love that. Love it. Love it. Erin, no mom guilt.
I was going to say, do you want to try some rapid fire questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I totally do. All right. So we do this thing. We do rapid fire questions. So we go fast. It's probably going to be slow, but we're going to pretend like it's really fast. So you ready, Shannon? Are you ready?
I am ready. Does this mean I still only give like 2-word answers? Because I'm not.
Yes.
No,
No, you go fast.
No, you answer.
Whatever you feel. And then we'll just talk about how we need to change the name of rapid fire. It'll be a thing. Anyway, you ready? All right, here we go. Most embarrassing moment.
Oh, my most.
See? Not rapid fire.
Oh, see, I already failed. We just started.
Yeah, fail. Next. Favorite restaurant brand that isn't yours?
I was studying abroad in France. I confused 2 words and really offended my Catholic homestay family.
Oops.
Wait, what were the 2 words?
In French.
It's
In
a
French.
word, the word I thought was for jam is preservatives, which it's not. It means something totally different in French, and the readers can look that up.
It's like Spanish. I have men and I am hungry are very close.
Oh,
Used to mess them up too. I mean, both were
Hombre and hombre.
accurate, but
Mhm.
yes.
Yes.
And that is your international lesson for the day,
I
friends.
told you, not rapid
Okay,
fire.
what is your favorite restaurant brand that isn't yours?
Oh, favorite that is not mine. Probably La La Land's Kind Cafe. If you've ever been there, they're based out of Dallas, but they have some stores in LA as well. It's a coffee chain, but it employs foster kids and helps them
Oh.
get into the system. And it is honestly from a brand. The food's awesome. The drinks are great. The food's awesome, and you just feel so good. Like whatever.
Aw, I love that.
Now I want to go to La La
Okay,
Land.
La
Shout out
La
to La La
Land.
Land.
Kind Cafe.
Big fan. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's
that's so
amazing.
cool.
Yes.
Cool. Well, if we actually get like people listening, then they can go check it out too. So
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, next question.
They just want to smile. They literally drive around and give people compliments. So
Oh.
I love that. All right, next rapid fire question. Guilty pleasure.
guilty pleasure, wine for sure.
Yes.
Same.
Favorite wine.
Wine, French wine, Burgundy's my absolute poison, but I like Pinot Noirs from Oregon as well. That is my
Nice.
guilty pleasure. At the
If
end of the
anyone's
day,
listening, that's what she would like you to send her.
For
is
Christmas,
Pinot Noir
yes.
from Oregon. Very
Yes.
specific. Is there a fancy brand that you like?
I like to discover new things, honestly.
Mhm.
So
She's
yeah,
open to new things, everyone.
Next week, all the wine starts pouring into
Oh my God.
to
Her
Shannon's
desk is
office.
filled with wine and she sends us a picture. That's I look forward to it.
All that much.
I love it.
some beer and wine into habit. This could be like a whole strategy,
We're
a
doing
new
a thing.
category, a new day part.
She's so smart, Tammy. She knows what I'm thinking about.
A new day part. I loved how you just tossed it.
Well,
That.
it's a happy hour. It's just a strategy, you know.
All
That's
right.
great.
So we're clear that we fail at rapid fire. It's not our
Yes.
jam. We're more like we're women. We like to elongate and really learn.
I like to chitty chat.
We have to change the title. But so we like to end our podcasts with you thinking about. So you came on here because someone thought of you. And so we like when you think of other strong females that you would like to see on this podcast. And so if there's anyone you would like to nominate, it can be more than one, however you feel. Just throw some names out or a name. We'd love to know who you'd like to call out as a strong female in our space.
Oh, that's so fun. And are you thinking in restaurants, like in the restaurant space, right?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, we would like
Restaurant,
to.
food tech.
Yeah,
You
we're
could do-
trying to stay within the industry to a certain extent, but
Mhm.
you know, if we were like, what's that girl's name? Call her daddy. Is that it?
Oh,
Oh.
yeah. We want
You know,
Call
if
Her
we got
Daddy.
real
Come on.
famous, then maybe.
Also, like, what a great podcast name.
Call
It
her
was
Taffy.
taken, so we couldn't be called that.
No, I
Yeah,
did
we
call me
could.
mommy.
Oh, that's super fun. Well, if I thought about some, I mean, there's so many amazing women in the Yum system, which is immediately where my mind goes. I would say one that would be really fun for y'all to talk to if you don't know her is Shannon Garcia, who's at Pizza Hut. She has a really cool background and story, and she's just been making like incredible waves at Pizza Hut. She's the chief operating officer, and she's overseen digital there for some time as well. And she's worked in all different areas of restaurants. She's worked in fine dining. She's worked at Starbucks. She is a boatload of fun to be around and lots of good ideas.
You
And then
had me at operations overseeing digital.
Yeah.
I know that she calls it fidgetal. I had like stumped that for a second. I had to think about that. But her whole point is around customer experience these days. Like it's not like you're digital or you're physical in restaurants. It all comes together, right? Into one.
Yeah.
You might have ordered online, but you're showing up to pick it up, and you need to think about it in a more integrated way. I guess some people called that omni-channel for a while, but anyway, when she talks about it, it doesn't sound like anything anybody's talked about in the past. It feels pretty cool.
Yeah.
So she would definitely be high on my list.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
I have her down. Shannon Garcia, we're coming for you.
That's amazing.
Warn her now that I just assigned her a little.
Yes, warn her. Make sure you give her a heads up.
Well,
So she's
we
not
are-
like, who are these crazy ladies calling on me?
Now, one last question. So, Yum sounds like a wonderful place to work. And it sounds
Mhm.
like they really go for the best of the best. Sorry, my dog is needy right now.
I know it.
They really go for the best of the best. So how would somebody, a young person who maybe wants to work at Yum, how would they go about, sort of getting in?
I wonder if we go back to your email, Tammy, because we do, we get a lot of applications, which is great because it's a great, talented place. But I would say, pick your brand, have a point of view, right? Send somebody a note that actually shares your experience and the fact that you're actually passionate about our restaurants and what we do. And that would be my suggestion, because I still feel like stuff like that absolutely breaks through.
Yeah, I agree.
Nice. Yep. We're trying to give something back to the ladies that are listening out there and, provide a place where they can hear inspirational stories and get some career advice and all kinds of other fun stuff. Maybe some hair tips, right?
Those I will not give. I have no clue.
Well, we want to know which dry shampoo brand you like.
Yes. What's your favorite dry shampoo brand? My daughter says, always the one with the flowers. The one with the flowers is the best one. But I've recently switched to the pump instead of the aerosol. I think it's better.
I wash my hair every day like you're not supposed to. So this is what it looks like.
And my hair dryer tells me I should just blow dry the roots, but dry shampoo is still a great thing.
Yes, it is. Life-changing. Shannon, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us today. The industry is very grateful for you and the things that you're doing for it. It's great to hear about Yum and the culture that you guys have been building there and that you continue to build out. We're very grateful for you sharing time.
Well, thanks for having me. This was a boatload of fun.
Yeah, awesome.
We're going to reach out to Shannon Garcia for you.
That's right.
Enjoy.
Podcast showing power dreams they fulfill. Bite-Sized and Bossy, making time stand still. Bite-Sized and Bossy, rising up the ranks, handing out encouragement, deposits in their banks. Inspiration coming at you like a river flowing. Women paving paths, look at them going.